Okay, today I've got a Kwikset Smartkey Gen 3. So the Gen 3 means it's got a square sidebar, which means you can't tension it conventionally. You can't just rotate the core and get tension. You also can't tension through the change keyhole. You have to tension by shimming the sidebar. So I'll show some of that a little more um, during the gut. We'll get it open first. So for a tension tool, I just took a bobby pin. I sanded down this end piece, and there's some bends in it. Honestly, it's mostly straight. And the biggest thing is at the very tip here, having that little lifted piece that allows you to get over the sidebar rather than just running into it if it was totally straight. Um, Yeah, I'll get it open and I'll kind of show how the shim shaping works. Um, so I'm gonna start. I get it in this little hole, and then I move in like this, which this little tip goes around and allows to go over the sidebar to get started with the tension. I'm gonna start there. Let's push it in a little bit. So these bind front to back as you start sliding the shim towards the back. So I'm kind of backing off tension until I can get one set. Just putting the shim in at all has it like all bound up to where I can't even lift it. So one set now, it's really springy when it's set. So pushing it a little more to try to get two set. And these sliders, as they get set, they stay up. So if it's not at the bottom, like where it is, if there's no shim and it's springy, that means it's set. So really easy to tell what state they're in. Sometimes it helps to wiggle the core a little around. The hardest thing is moving the shim around. Manipulating the sliders isn't that bad. Pretty wide open keyway, lots of clear feedback. But these little shims a little difficult to move sometimes. One's still set, two feels set, three isn't binding yet. Try and wiggle this a little bit. There we go. That's probably too much. Let's see. One's set, two feels set, three feels might be set. Four, just gotta click, that's probably set. So my shim's all the way in there now, which means I'm probably finding all 5 pins. Okay, 5's binding. I'm gonna pull it out a little bit. Kind of tap as I pull out. There we go. 5 ceiling set now. One feels good. Two feels good. 3, 4, 5. Okay. Let's see. So now you can't actually rotate the core while the shim is in. So you have to yank the shim out while you tension the core or rotate the core. So I'm just going to stick a tension wrench in. Yeah, I think it's picked just by how much it rotated there. So I'll keep tension on, yank this shim out. There we go. That's an open. Cool. This is a really cool lock. I'm going to do my best to kind of show how shaping this shim works, as well as how to pick it and learn picking it. Um, yeah, really, I think I've heard before with this lock, it's the hardest thing is just tensioning it. I think that's fair. But bobby pins are pretty ubiquitous. You could use, I've seen people use like broken picks or like shim stock, anything really that can get in and around the sidebar. But when I first started picking this, I was really worried about the geometry of the shim. I don't think that it really matters that much. I think the main thing is that it's thin enough. It's mostly straight, and it has this little curve at the end. Um, you'll see some people have like a kind of more dramatic curve. I don't think you necessarily really need that. I think flat is totally fine. In any case, let me get this gutted, and we'll go from there. Let's reset this lock here. Okay. Oops. Wonder if that was out of frame. Just hit a cable here. Oops. Well, I roll with it. We'll see if it was or not. Okay. So I'm gonna get this out of the housing. Okay. This is the core. So there's that sidebar. Close up here. So you can see that square sidebar, this sort of like square cross section there. So these sliders, they move up and down in here, and when the key's inserted, you can see as I move it in, these sliders move up and down. Both the top and the bottom, you can see them slide up and down. And when it's fully inserted and all the sliders are in, this sidebar drops in. It's sprung, so it pushes in, and then it's able to rotate. So when you tension this with no shim, like if you just turn the core, the sliders themselves don't tension. There's tension on the sidebar a little bit, but that the sliders just move freely. So you need to push the sidebar in, and that's where the shim comes in. So, like I said, the main thing with this shape is that the tip there is able to move around the sidebar. So you slip it in here, and if it's too flat or too thick, it'll just bump into the sidebar and you can't push it in any farther. But if you get the right shape, you can kind of hook it around, and as you push it in, you get over the top of that sidebar. And then as you go in and start setting pins, or setting sliders, you can, well, I don't know if I'm success there, but with the key in and the sidebar fully retracted, I can slide this in and show you. So you'll like set 1, and then push it in, set 2, and then 3, and then keep going, and you'll be able to set 4 and 5. So I don't know if you can really see, it's the same color as the sidebar, but this is actually going across. I don't think it necessarily needs to. I think you can get tension on 4 and 5. If this is curved more, it'll come out and kind of get stopped by the plug body right around there. But in any case, that's how picking it works. So learning it, you can just, or making your shim and everything, you can just pull it out of the housing and practice getting the shim in, like with the key in. And if the shim can go all the way back, then your shim is shaped right. Then you can pull the key out and you can just kind of pick one at a time. You can look at these, like physically look at these sliders and see if they're lined up. So you can put the key in and say, okay, that's what it looks like when it's set. They're all lined up like that. So then you can pull the key out, put your shim in, and start picking it and get a feel for what the sliders look like. And then when it's picked, the core turns more than normal, but it gets stuck because that shim's there. And I can show that here. So when the shim's in, the core doesn't turn because there's a piece of metal in the way where the sidebar is. If you hold tension on it, you yank the shim out, then you can turn the core. So anyway, let me get this apart a little more. Okay, actually, let me, before I get this apart too much, I'm gonna show the key change, because I think that's really cool and one of the things that I love about this lock. Really, that's what makes it a smart key. So you can operate it with the normal key. Normally you can't pull the key out at 90 degrees, but this little slot here lets you use this change key tool. So here's one, this is a key, and just to show, I have another Kwikset key right here, and this does not operate the lock. I'm gonna basically rekey the lock. So I'm gonna turn it 90 degrees with the working key, and then you push this in. I'm not using the change key tool, but same thing. And then that slides this carriage back, and that carriage is what lines up all the sliders. So then you can pull the key out now because the sliders are disengaged. And then you stick in your new key, and then you rotate it back, and that click just lined up all the sliders with this bitting. So now this key operates the lock, but this key does not. And before I get it, I'll get it back to the stock bitting here. Use the change key tool this time. Sliding that carriage back and putting in the new key. So that's the smart part of the smart key and the marketing behind it. You give like a contractor a key for a day and then change it back without any tools. Pretty cool. Not the hardest thing in the world to pick, but these shims are, I guess, kind of hard to make. I guess in my experience, it was a lot of trial and error, and I needed the lock apart to get it to work. So I'm gonna put the key in. Okay. So there's that square sidebar. When that sidebar is extended, that's what keeps the core from turning. And this is that change key carriage that slides. So when you stick the change key tool in, it pushes this back. That's how the change key operation works. It clears those sliders basically. See if I can get this apart further without totally destroying it. Here's another look at the sliders that stick out. But again, these pieces of metal don't actually inhibit the lock from turning. It's just this sidebar piece right here. This is really the only thing that you need attention when you work this shim in. This really needs to get to there. And that's full tension on the sidebar. Okay, I'm gonna try and open this up without sending stuff flying. Let's see. Okay, got a couple sliders. Came with the carriage, a couple didn't. Get the stragglers in and kind of pull it up to the camera. I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I have heard one of the complaints with these smart keys, it might just be the former generations, but that all these little hot metal pieces are sort of a shortcoming, that they have a tendency to break over time. I will say it is not making for a very good video. but okay, there we go. Those are those little pieces that allow the sidebar to drop in when they're lined up. Pull those out. They're all the same. And then this is the key side of the lock. So this is where the pins, if they, so to speak, the pin-like things are. So as the key moves in, these little tabs, see that, try and do a close-up here. These little fins sit inside of these guys down here. So as the key moves in, these move up and down. And when they're lined up, I think it's the deeper slot on the back of these will line up with the sidebar, and it'll allow the sprung sidebar to drop in. And then the lock opens. Cool. I think that's all I want to show on that one. Thanks for watching.